think we leave with enormous respect for one another and appreciation of different contexts. And I think we tend to think of a province in a monolithic way, like, you know, the Episcopal Church, everybody is exactly the same way, or in the Congo, everyone's the same way, and it's so nuanced and so textured.
I really enjoyed meeting the people.
The people were
and amazing, the welcoming, the relationships.
I had the most amazing table companions. And Pakistan, Hong Kong, Ireland, Myanmar, the Congo. And so the table groups were just amazing for me.
Mine was the same. I had from the West Indies and Grenada, Burundi, Congo, and their incredibly difficult circumstances for those two countries and those two churches. And then the Vatican, and Catherine from Zimbabwe, who, you know, as a young person, she was just incredible. And then Bangladesh, and then Kenya, the Bishop of Nairobi, who he and I sat next to each other and just had the best time of fellowship.
Very close.
It was great.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
And the best part of our table fellowship really was the Bible study. Man, studying Ruth. It was talking about legitimacy, illegitimacy.
Today we ended up talking about identity, and that whole notion that our identity can be changed and expanded and enhanced by those with whom we align ourselves. And I think that's the case in the communion, in a meeting like this.
It was kind of very interesting sitting at a table for 10 days with the Archbishop of Canterbury. We had some very good exchanges on our table, and the Bible study again was really, really very interesting. I said to someone, I've read Ruth more than once, like everybody had. I've never gotten all of that out of it. And this was, to do the Bible study the way we did it was really a really deepening thing, because you could see how it related to everything that's going on in our lives right now. You know, whether in the church or out of the church, it's just so relevant. It was really amazing.
Speaking of the Archbishop of Canterbury, I thought he was very gracious to meet with the three of us last Friday night. And I think it gave us, at least it gave me, a deeper appreciation of his role and his responsibility and the burden of responsibility that he carries. I think it also gave him a deeper sense of who we are as the Episcopal Church and perhaps a more nuanced view. And I thought it was just a very helpful, good conversation.
I thought it was very generous to take the time, and specifically to take the time, which meant not doing other things. And then in a kind of relaxed atmosphere where we could be very honest and open about, really fundamentally, how some of the actions of the Anglican Communion has impacted us. What it feels like to be an American Episcopalian. So sharing the emotional impact specifically with respect to the Primate's Communique and Appendix A. That was important for us to be able to say that, and I think he very well heard it.
I think he listened very carefully.
I think, you know, I think he's been very gracious throughout, and that was my experience with him. I think he does have an appreciation of who we are, and for me personally, it helped in really understanding really the sort of balancing act that someone in his position has to play.
Switching gears again, I'm thankful for the way the resolutions went today.
I'm particularly struck by the one resolution that many people at home were concerned about, what would happen in terms of the response of the Anglican Consultative Council to the Primate's communique. And I think that the resolution, I believe that the resolution that the Council passed was a way for all of us in the communion to move forward. Do you want to say a word about the actual resolution, since you were very close to working on that?
The resolution per se was looking at what does it mean for us to live together in our differences in light of another meeting that happened a few months before. Well, that information was brought to us by the Archbishop of Canterbury. His report on the Primates meeting was the center act related to the Primates of our work, because he's the president of the ACC. So rather than focusing per se on the Primates communique, we'd focus on what it was we did here in Lusaka. And that's listen to the report, consider its impact on our lives, and then decide accordingly as to our work as the ACC.
Well, people, I think, at home, people have been sending emails and asking, well, is the ACC going to impose consequences? And I want people to know that that didn't happen. That, in fact, we were very warmly welcomed and received. You did decide not to stand for chair of the ACC, which I think is a loss, but I think your reasons for not standing for election were ones that were deeply felt by you, and I think, frankly, appreciated by many. But I also would want people to know that you did not do that in reaction to the primate's communique.
That's absolutely true. My decision was not based on the communique from the primates, and it was very clear to me that for the sake of the unity of the body, if I had stood, that could have been a cause for not so much division here, but division in the broader Anglican communion as to how that election would have been perceived. Yep.
There were an amazing number of resolutions about issues that are of common concern and, frankly, are desperate situations in many places, certainly about violence. The situation in Sudan, the situation in Burundi was acknowledged and addressed in resolutions. We had resolutions on environmental issues and concerns, gender justice. Gender justice really was a theme that kind of went throughout in every part. First of all, the Book of Ruth in our study.
Oh, yeah.
But I was really struck by the fact that whole issue, gender justice and gender-based violence, cuts across every province in the communion. And I think that the ACC and its networks are really wrestling with how to address this and to find concrete ways to solve some of these issues that diminish so many human beings in our provinces and beyond.
And it struck me too that this afternoon we voted on the resolutions about safe church. You know, that is an issue, and someone raised the question even about, we're talking about children, who are all the vulnerable adults, and again that whole question about women. And it's one of the reasons I think that we really need to stay engaged, because we've done a lot of work in that area in our church, and I think we have a lot to offer the communion as it moves forward in areas like, you know, gender violence or safe church or all of those kinds of things. And of course, the theme of the whole conference and the resolution we passed today about the intentional discipleship and the period for discipleship, I think that's something, and the fact that that is, as you pointed out, the first resolution that we'll have on the agenda there, for people to see that we're trying to live into this whole idea of intentional discipleship and what that means, I think is something important for us and that our church could engage as well. So it was overall pretty good.